This segment is sponsored by RVA Wealth Management.
2020 is coming to a close, and the end of the year is an important time to kind of focus on your finances. Joining us this morning to help us end the year on a high note is David Koren of RVA Wealth Management. Good to see you again, David.
Good to see you as well.
All right, I don't speak finance ease, so that's why you're here to help us out with all of this. And I'm gonna run some questions by you. I'm hearing a phrase being thrown around called tax harvesting. What is tax harvesting?
Well, it's one of the things that you should consider doing at the end of the year as part of your financial housekeeping, really. It involves, if you've got a taxable investment account, it's the end of the year to take a look at your capital gains and your capital losses. And depending on your tax situation, you may want to sell some losses to offset gains, or vice versa, take some gains because you had some losses during the course of the year. One thing to remember, though, is that if you are harvesting for capital losses, you have to make sure that you're aware of the wash sale rules. We call them wash, like you're washing something out, which means that you have to make sure you don't buy the same security or a similar security within 30 days. Otherwise, you lose the ability to take that loss. So you have to be sort of a little bit careful about it and make sure that you don't do that. Because a lot of people want to sell a position that they have a loss in, but they really like that position. They want to buy it right back when you have to wait 30 days.
Okay. So, yeah, there are some little tricks of the trade here that you being in it all the time would know these things. And the rest of us are like, well, I'm losing money on this one. Let's buy the one that just like it that's doing well. But you got to kind of pump the brakes on that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the markets coming up for 2021. 2020 obviously has been a roller coaster ride with the pandemic and a very volatile election. And of course, we still don't know what's going to be happening for the year ahead. We're all hopeful that things are going to be better, but we're hearing recession being thrown around. What do you think the 2021 market's going to look like?
Well, there are some risks that are out there still. So you've got the equity markets, especially large cap tech stocks, appear pretty expensive relative to their expected earnings for next year. There's still this political uncertainty due to the Georgia Senate runoffs. And also, you've got a lot of people out there struggling, a lot of households that really need help. And that second round of stimulus would be very important to get passed. And obviously, we probably, as you know, if you're following the headlines, they're struggling in Washington to do that. But that said, we are actually pretty optimistic about the news we're seeing with the efficacy of the new vaccines that are coming out and have been developed. That's very, very good news. Corporate earnings have surprised to the upside. That's also really good news. We're excited about that. We are looking at a Fed that will continue to be very supportive this year. They're going to keep interest rates low. They'll continue to buy bonds if need be in the market. So we're pretty optimistic that means you're going to see some movement up next year. This past quarter, this fourth quarter, we have really seen begun to see this indication of a rotation from large cap growth stocks like Apple and Facebook into more out of favor value stocks and small cap companies. And that's because of the more positive news regarding the vaccines. So if we continue to see progress towards a reopening of the economy and getting back to normal, I would not be surprised to see the value stocks and the small cap stocks really outperform in 2021. So if you really have a longer term horizon and you're comfortable with some volatility, because that's part of being in the equity markets, it's going to go up and down. We believe that equities remain quite a bit more attractive this year than bonds because of this really low interest rate environment.
All right. So I might have got ahead of myself there where we were kind of looking ahead to 2021, but we still got some cleaning up to do at the end of the year and some very important things to check off the done box. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, the end of the year, like I mentioned earlier, is a great time to do your financial housekeeping. And I mentioned tax harvesting. That is one of the things you should be looking at doing here at the end of the year. as far as doing your financial housekeeping is concerned. Also, because we've seen this big move up this year in large cap tech stocks, especially, it may be a good time to look at rebalancing. So you may need to make some adjustments to your portfolio because you may now be overweight in those categories. So you might want to take a look at that and see if that makes sense for you. Also, Roth conversions. If you're planning on doing a Roth conversion this year, transferring money from an IRA to a Roth, you should do that prior to December 31st for it to count in the 2020 tax year. And this is going to be dependent, obviously, on your tax situation, your specific goals and objectives. But we like to see, if you can, especially this year, since we didn't have to do required minimum distributions because of the CARES Act, it might be a good year to take advantage of some of these Roth conversion opportunities that are out there. Also, if luckily this year, required minimum distributions are not required, but normally this time of year would be the time to make sure that you've taken everything out that you need to from your IRAs. Also, charitable planning. Year end is a great time to take a look at and finalize your charitable giving for the year. Under the 2020 CARES Act, taxpayers who claim standard deductions are eligible to receive an above-the-line deduction of up to $300 for cash donations to charity this year. So that's good news and something you need to be aware of and be certain to take advantage of. Also, you should review your legal documents. Make sure your beneficiary designations are in alignment and where you want them to be. Due to the Secure Act, there's been some modifications out there in terms of inheritances that you need to be aware of and take a look at. So these are some of the things you should be considering.
Wow, always great advice and right on time. Folks, if you want to get in touch with RVA Wealth Management, visit their website, rvawealthmanagement.com. You can also give them a call at 804-497-2100. Thanks, David. Folks, stay with us. Virginia This Morning is going to return after a quick break.